Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys Mortal 11 Kombat BARAKA. I don't know why I did that. I've been wanting to do that since I started reviewing these figures, just because it's in the middle. I finally did it. I'm not proud of it. It wasn't funny, and I wish I hadn't, but I did. So anyway, this is not a new figure. It's been out for a while. I've had it for a while. I just never got around to reviewing it, and a lot of people asked me to review it, so here it is. It's probably the best BARAKA figure that's ever existed, but it is still riddled with things that we need to talk about. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just shy, let's say about 7 3/8 inches. I was going to say just shy of 7.5, but I'm going to go 7 3/8, and that's going to make him pretty close to, I'll say 18.75 centimeters. So pretty good size on him. In fact, we'll do a quick comparison. Here he is up against Gunspawn with no guns. He's got basically the same height as him, and here he is up against another McFarlane figure from the DC batch of figures. He's taller than Red Hood. He makes Red Hood look like a punk. Red Hood still has no hand, but Big Bad Toy Store did help me out with that, so kudos to them for that. Okay, back to the review. Speaking of the aesthetics, because that's what we're going to do first, I just want to compare him to the artwork on the package. It doesn't really look like the same character. I just hate it when they do that. I hate it. Like, don't put other characters on the back of the package, even if they're like the namesake type characters. Don't like it. So yeah, this is the best looking BARAKA figure ever. It blows away the Storm Collectibles one, aesthetically. Now, functionally, it has all kinds of problems, and there are lots of flaws within the figure, or throughout the figure, that we'll talk about, but I just want to put it out there. Like, if you're looking for a BARAKA figure, and if you happen to like the Mortal Kombat 11 version, then you're going to be just aces. This is a really, really solid release in a lot of ways. Aesthetically speaking, the head is one of the best looking heads we've looked at ever. The sculpt, the paint, it's wonderful. I love it. It's got a nice pink wash on top of that fleshy color. Very, very nicely done. That wash is continued down through the neck area, but then it stops. It stops on his chest. It's not on his arms or hands. It's not on his torso, and that blows. If that wash was everywhere on his body, that would have looked wonderful. Very, very nice. It's not. The head still looks great, but we are missing a wash everywhere else. The clothing sculpt here is fantastic. The paint job is nice. I would have liked a wash on here. I think a wash should go on everything. When they have this kind of level of detail, like this is clearly digitally sculpted, and we have all the texture in the pants, all the texture in his loincloth thingy. A wash really, really would have brought this out. Or at least some dry brushing for like the cloth parts, that's okay. But a wash would have been good. The pants, or the lack of pants, the shin things, they look very nice. His feet are okay. Like, it's sculpted really well. His arm spikes, sculpted very nicely. Paint job definitely lacking, and a wash would have helped. The wrist things definitely could have used a wash also. So yes, it's sculpted very, very well. Painted very well-ish, but definitely good enough. You do get the painted stitching in here. Hopefully you guys saw that. Lots of paint work throughout. Very, very pleased with that. It's in line with the Mortal Kombat figures. They generally get that. Now, we do have a few issues, which I'm going to talk about as we get into the articulation and the accessories, but from an aesthetic standpoint, it's pretty darn good. I guess I'll get into the one now. These things bend out because of the way they attach to the arm and the way the hands are. His claws bend out and it looks goofy. So aesthetically, that's not pleasing. I'm not going to save that for the accessory section. So I'll give it a final aesthetic rating of 8 out of 10 for McFarlane. The lack of paint in certain places doesn't help. The bent claws doesn't help. And of course, the trigger finger hands, which I didn't even mention, that doesn't help either. But the head alone is a 10 out of 10. It's wonderful. That's as nice a head sculpt and paint job as you're going to get for any kind of price point, really. That's really, really well done. Very, very good. Now, as far as accessories go, we do get his 2 forearm claws, which you probably wouldn't want to ever take off because there's nothing to replace them. So they don't really count as accessories, but they do connect poorly, and then they bend and they warp, so that's no good. We do get this little brain, which is definitely not the right color, but it does go on his claw. So if you want that, you get that. And then, of course, we get the Mortal Kombat display stand, which serves almost no purpose, really. So accessory-wise, 3 out of 10. It's not good. And having trigger finger hands on BARAKA is kind of ridiculous. Like, the most ridiculous. It's more ridiculous than even Superman, because they don't even have guns where BARAKA's from. So why does he have trigger finger hands? Fist hands. Fist hands. Put fist hands on figures that need fist hands. or at least an open claw type hand. Anything other than a trigger finger hand. It's ridiculous. Okay, now for articulation, the head is on a double ball peg, but he can't look up at all because of the way it's done. There's just no room for it. They could have definitely, I mean, there would be room for it if they articulated it better, but they didn't. So it does look down a little bit. That's okay. Obviously, you get your rotation. It does lean nicely, but it doesn't go forward and back very well. So that's a bit of a bummer. The butterfly joint in here works pretty nicely. I mean, it's not really a butterfly. It's just a ball peg with a cap, but that works fine. Raising the arms up, just about horizontal. Definitely could be a little bit better there. Full rotation, bicep swivel, that's all good. Double jointed elbow, that's all good. If this one will bend, it won't bend. I don't know why that one won't bend. We'll try this side. There we go. So plenty of range in the elbows. That's fine. Mine's just stuck. No big deal. Wrists have a ball hinge. That's okay. Torso appears to have a ball peg in there, but you can't really get to it because of his outfit. So you're going to just use that bottom ball peg. And boy, did they do a good job of sculpting all the wrinkles and stuff in there. That's really nice. Really, really nice. And that leans around a little bit, but not a ton. You get your rotation. You can technically rotate the body inside that also, but, you know, that's like for adjustment posing, really, you're not going to do any major changes in the pose from that. So that's a bit of a bummer. This is a floating piece, so you can rotate the waist around underneath it as well. The hips go out to the side pretty nicely despite having those flaps there, so I like that. That's pretty good. Going forward, it's not great. It's enough. Going back, not really anything. As far as the cake rating, yeah, not really. He's pretty cakeless. I'll give him a 2. There's a little bit of something there, but not much. There is a little bit of a thigh swivel up there, but almost nothing. Instead, you get a thigh swivel down here, which is a good way of doing it. I'm fine with that. But boy, oh boy, did they screw the crap out of these knees. If you look at the legs, you can see the line, like for the shin, you can see the shape of the leg going this way, but they put the knee joint on the inside and then did that. What the heck? It bends the leg out at the wrong angle. I've never seen knees as bad as this, even from McFarlane. These are crazy weird. Why do they have that little nubbin right there going down? That gets hidden. It's not part of the sculpt. There's just like a spike coming off of his knee. Boy, and look how crooked. It's a very, very, very strange way to do a knee. It's almost like they had a sculpt, and then somebody who didn't do the sculpt came in not knowing about sculpts and then cut the articulation. And look at this one. This one's even worse. Look how far on the inside that knee joint is. Shin armor right here, knee joint on the inside. If you rotate the knees straight, the legs stick out funny. I don't know, man. That's weird. Ball hinges for the ankles, they're okay. They're still heavily ratcheted and not good, but you get decent-ish range. So I guess that's something. Toe hinges are super loose and way far back on the foot. That makes it very difficult for him to stand. He wants to lean forward and then just fall over because half of his foot bends up rather than just the toes. So that's not good. So yeah, like I said, best BARAKA figure ever, but also has tons of flaws. Articulation on this guy is only going to get a 5 out of 10. It's really problematic. Torso is super limited. Not a big deal, but those knees and ankles, not good. I probably don't have to go that low. I could go 6. I'll do 6 because he still can't raise his arms up and his head is fairly limited also. So some of it's reasonable, most of it's not. I'll go 6 out of 10 for articulation on this guy. Okay, time for a final verdict. The head sculpt sells me on it. The overall look sells me on it. It's a very appealing figure. A little bit of extra wash and paint would have gone a long way, but what's there is probably enough. I'm going to give it an overall rating of 8 out of 10. As far as the Mortal Kombat figures go, Raiden was really good. A couple have been really good. Some have been really terrible. This is one of the good ones. It's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough. If you're into BARAKA, into Mortal Kombat, this is one you might want to track down. If you feel like adding some paint, it'll really stand out if you can just ignore those joint problems. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.